It's not, of course, though, just joyous occasions that have been hit hard by these restrictions. One of the more harrowing impacts has been families and friends forced to grieve without the usual services to farewell loved ones. It's had a huge impact. I know, having personally been impacted by 2 deaths inside this COVID period, I know how tough it's been on people. Well, I think people to date were willing to do the right thing, as hard as that was. I think they're now very angry after this weekend's protests where all the rules were broken. Someone who's been at the coalface of this issue is the owner of Family Tree Funerals, Janine Marra, and she joins me now from Sydney. I tell you, losing someone you love's hard enough, Janine, but this has just been, doubly difficult in the middle of this pandemic. What's been your personal experience?
Good evening, Peter. Thank you for having me. The most difficult part is breaking the news to the families that it was only going to be 10, 20. Now, obviously, we're coming into the 50. But having to tell the grandchildren, you can't come. It was heart-wrenching. These grandparents that were laid to rest read these children. Rocco tomorrow will be interviewed by Ben Fordham. You will hear his comments of the pain that these grandchildren and obviously all the family members that weren't in the church are taking with them. And, how do you console someone like that? It's so hard. You can see the pictures that I've sent to you. An empty church, 5 on one side, 5 on the other. That's it. Grandchildren in the cars outside. Leaning on the back window was the grandchild. I had to walk Rocco in. He gave the eulogy. Did we shed a tear? Hell yeah. We all cried. I had to walk him back out and say, you need to go back to the car. And, yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's got to change really, really quickly.
Yeah, look, it's almost inhumane when you look at that image of someone's, out the back behind the glass at their grandparents' own funeral. I have a girlfriend who, her 16-year-old son committed suicide in this pandemic period, and she could only have 10 people at the service. She waited a month to bury her son and got it up to 30. But even then, her little town was full of people in their driveways by the side of the road, wanting to send a signal to the family that they were there to support them. Now, yes, you say it's 50, but I was at a shopping centre in Melbourne earlier today. There would have been 400 or 500 people in a space not much bigger than that church just showed us on the screen. So it doesn't seem fair that funerals are still capped.
Absolutely not. I've had my church services. They've been, like I said, 5 on one side, 5 on the other, or otherwise just 20, 10 on one side, 10 on the other. And families just been told you can't come. Thank goodness we have live streaming, recording, which has been a blessing, and thank you to all the crematoriums. I take my hat off, all the people involved in that. But these memories are not replaceable. Like I said to Ben Fordham this morning, you can postpone a birthday, a party, a wedding, but you can't postpone a funeral. Once that curtain closes, it's over.
What's been the traumatic reaction from individuals locked out of family members' funerals? Obviously, people too have a lot of friends who are not there and able to grieve. Many of them haven't been able to see their loved ones, particularly if they knew they were passing away, that they were in perhaps palliative care and other circumstances. They weren't able to see them as readily as they might before they died. And, of course, not being able to be there at their service, that's doubly difficult.
Absolutely, and I'm still in contact with many of these families, and what I have promised to do is I'm going to do the memorial services for the families that were affected free of charge, so we can fill the churches, we can fill the crematoriums, wherever we need to go, and they can have that celebration. The only sad part is, Peter, that coffin won't be there, but the memory will hopefully, be there in spirit.
Were anybody tempted to break the rules? Were any families tempted to say, well, bugger it, we'll just pay the fine? What were the sort of reactions and warnings that you were given?
All right, when I'm arranging a funeral, there's a form that we need to complete. We need to fill in name, surname, phone number. We need to submit it to the church, to the crematorium, to the catering venues, and that's it. that form has to be completed, and they're the only people allowed in. End of story.
And were there threats to have the casket taken away at any stage if that people didn't comply with the rules, or was it simply fines?
No, it's just a simple fine. No, there was no threats. Just, you know, you would be fined. If they came in, you would be fined on the spot.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, I've got to leave it there, but I hope there is change. I hope there's change tomorrow, if we could be that lucky. Thank you very much.
If Gladys is listening, please make the change. Please.